Welcome back to another episode of Mörk Bronze.
Mörk Bronze.
Mörk Bronze.
Mörk Bronze.
Mörk Bronze.
Last time, our exiles banded together in the sputtering, dying flames of a hovel, an abandoned wreck of a building near the outskirts of the holy town of Unguent. Here, they took counsel with two fellow exiles, one named Oath, one named Hapment. Although their predicaments similar, their methods of arriving at the same conclusion could not have been more different. The two individuals, an individual is the perfect name for them, truly bear little to no similarity to each other. But once again, their goals are the same. One of them seeks to purchase their admission back into the town by completing a king's bounty. The other wishes only to help their fellow exiles at any cost. Maybe to repair the darkness in their own soul. And now, our exiles must decide for themselves which path they will follow. Welcome back to the table. It's so wonderful to have everyone back. Luis, Tanya, Xander, welcome, welcome. Or should I say, Phoba, Raven, Grin.
Yeah.
You stand bathed in morning light. You hear a clattering behind you as Grin emerges from the doorway of the crumbling stone wreck. Now armed in heavy plate armor, I should say. Ill-fitting.
Yeah, so ill-fitting, in fact, that there is a sort of resemblance to Hapmet in that you can't really see their presence outside of the visor, but there's haphazardly been punched holes to see through, and it's reminiscent of Grin's own toothy, holy smile, that this visor and knight now also has holes where teeth should be. And it's rusted and sort of pieced together because it's all scraps that he has found within this pile. But we must be protected if we are to serve the king.
Hapman has an air of trepidation around her. She shifts restlessly on the wet grass, her boots sinking in a couple of inches as she does so. You're all very brave.
I'm not sure we have a choice.
Desperate.
We're trying to survive and make our circumstances better.
Bravery isn't always about doing the things you want to do. It's doing what you have to do.
And we have to do this.
Sarkash is where our bounty lies.
I've heard of the dangers in that foliage.
The forest. It seems as though its borders encroach on our own more and more with each passing day. Growth unchecked. The paths overgrown. To pass through the eaves is truly to step into a different realm. There, the realm of man ends, and the realm of the beast begins. And at its borders, in a halo of dying trees, rests Graven Tusk. In days past, it was a place of respite, where the people of Unguent buried their honored dead. But lately, I've heard scratching underneath the dirt, underneath the headstones. Uncomfortable scratching. Can you feel it now on the wind? It's warm. It's humid. Some people dislike the cold, but I feel like the frost keeps the evil at bay, keeps the dead things cold, keeps the earth hard.
I want to try to listen for what they're describing in a literal sense, but also in a kind of spiritual sense.
Yes. Give me a presence roll.
Seven.
You try to focus, but you can't. There's a cawing of a rook nearby, raucous, almost distracting, almost mockingly. It quirks, its voice trilling up in the air, an impossibly large, charcoal-colored bird, the luster of its wings picked up by the morning light, like a shadow given flight. Its eyes, two little globes of onyx, peer down at you, and you notice it has a long string of pearls wrapped around its neck twice. It clacks its beak and continues its quirking mockingly, shaking its head as it does so.
What is that? Do you see that bird?
We all see it, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
On an impulse, something about that bothers me. I don't know why, but I knock an arrow and hesitate for a moment and think better about loosening it in that direction. Those pearls will do nothing, and the flesh from a bird is not what we're looking for. At least, it's not heavy enough. There's better things to hunt than that.
Your restraint is appreciated, Phoba. You've kept us hidden for now.
Speaking of which, I will put on the hat that I have, sort of religious hat, and you notice that I start to kind of fade a little bit. I'm a little harder to discern. If we are to move into the forest where things are of a different nature and the dead may walk, then I think we should do so carefully. And I'm going to get up right next to our guide, essentially, and look to her to lead the way.
Yeah. You notice Hapmint come out, or like kind of come out of like a deep reverie as you step alongside her. And she too notices the rook now. She regards it carefully. And then, as though recalling it from a dream, she says, I believe that was a hunter's companion once.
So they may be here without their mount. Or the mount survived longer than they did.
Hunter would have to be very small to be able to ride on that.
It's not every day you see a bird wearing pearls.
No.
It is a sign. Danger lies ahead.
Is
That
that
hunter is gone.
I rather like the little thing. Like people, it clings to shiny, useless things.
And like people, it's noisy.
Let's watch it. If it follows us and draws attention to us, then we should handle it.
Invictus can make a quick snack of it.
Hatment takes a silver coin from in between two plates of her rusty armor and flips it up. You see the rook greedily snap it out of the air, swooping down, big wings, and swallow it. In return, it spits out a stone rune.
What is this? I want to see
picks
what that
it
is.
up.
Okay.
Yeah, carefully and kind of like twirls it between her fingers. You see the sigil of the two-headed basilisk.
Huh?
Does
My
this
turn.
mean-
And Grin will throw a coin in as well.
Yeah. As you offer it, a silver coin.
In my
Roll for
armor.
me, if you will, for your omens.
Ooh.
You get a D2.
Okay, and I have a special ability as Gutterborn Scum. Every time I use an omen, there's a 50% chance that it is not spent.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I will make the omen roll.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow. I have a D2. And so I think the number next to it is the one I'm supposed to get, right? Because it's either 1 or 2. But I rolled a 2 on it.
I'm the way I'm doing it, like you probably start with 1 and you roll to recover omens traditionally, but for me, I'm a little bit more chaotic than that. So you do start with 2.
Okay. Oh, and then
Oh, I
I
see.
rolled a 2.
Yeah, so you'll get 2.
Ah.
2 ruins come retching out of the strange rook's maw.
I see.
It looks at the other 2 of you expectantly.
I'm going to follow suit. And we'll offer the silver coin and therefore roll for my omen.
Yes. So you
Oh.
get to roll a D4.
I do.
Ooh.
I rolled a 3.
Mhm.
You acquire 3 omens. 3
Nice.
runes are expelled, shockingly dry, despite where they've come from.
I too will offer this rook a coin, and my omen is a D2.
Perfect.
So we're down to 97 silver coins. Because we're not paying for Hatment.
Wow. I too
Thank you for
got a
noting.
2.
Amazing. You start with 2 omens.
And I rolled a 2.
Perfect. With your these strange runes in your hands, they feel cool to the touch and comforting. The rook lets out an almost mocking laugh. And
What a
then
shame. We were all trying to choke it, right?
and takes wing to the sky. Soaring above you all, circling, you notice they never quite go completely out of sight. You are interesting to them.
Oh. Well, these will be useful, but I hope you stay quiet up there.
Work?
No.
Oh.
Can I trill at the rook?
Yes, you
Ooh.
can.
I'm going to try to basically mimic its song or its croak and try to
Amazing.
communicate with it to calm it, because one thing that I have
Mhm.
as a bard here is an aura of a natural charm.
Yes.
Ooh.
It unsettles foes and calms friends. And I could use a daily power, or I'm going to try to chirp at it as well. Trill
Yes.
chirp.
Go
Well,
ahead and give me a roll with your presence.
ooh, good, because my presence has a bonus.
Mm.
11 total.
It's enough. It appreciates your song. And for a moment, as you trill at it, it joins you in harmony. Then, rather pleased with itself and rather pleased with your name, as a cousin to it, it squats down on a half-dead tree smote by lightning and is content to simmer down for now. Its silly games having been entertained.
And I just give it a nod.
That was rather beautiful. What a curious little thing.
Mm.
Yes, indeed. Shall we hunt?
Yes.
You begin your journey into, or towards, I should say, Sarkash.
Mm.
The ground is a little rocky and mulchy. And as you walk, it gets softer. The woods around you seem to absorb everything. Light, sound, people, animals, an impenetrable wall of nature and its wrath laid out ahead of you. The eaves of it beckon you inwards. And as you stand on the threshold, much like what Hatman said, between the worlds of man and the wilds, you feel like it could swallow you whole. Whatever little path there was before your feet gets choked rapidly by the overgrown brambles, vines, and undergrowth. And soon you find yourselves having to push your way through with great effort. Even your mount, Phoba, struggles to find its feet and to find a way forward. At times, its soft, brown, gentle eyes look it back at you, confused as to the way forward.
I interpret that look, and I pat him, and I try to comfort him by kind of petting his face. And I will whisper to him, as I've assured you many times, my friend, you will never become meat to serve anyone from that town. And I just continue to stroke his... I'm sure he is also pretty skinny, and although he feeds differently than we do, there's probably not enough food to go around for all living things around here.
Mm-hmm. Hapman takes this moment while you are calming your pack animal to cast an eye around.
Mm. I think Grin is going to join them on this. We could do maybe
Yeah.
a quick circle around. Is it presents?
Yes. Anyone that would like to help.
Sure. And I picked up poor little Invictus, and he's in my cloak.
So with gutterborn scum, all presence and agility tests have their difficulty rating reduced by 2.
Perfect.
So I'm gonna roll.
Nice.
So the
Wow.
difficulty rating of this would have been a 14, and now it's a 12.
And I got 18.
And I failed.
I am taking a moment, if I can, and entering the forest. I was stealthing with my hat,
Yeah.
having a moment with Deimos. May have interrupted that, but after that moment, I would have tried to go back into kind of sneaking away from the group a little bit so I can kind of stealth
Yeah.
alongside them.
Perfect.
Does the hat's magic extend to Deimos?
I don't think so.
While you are
wish.
riding Deimos, yes. But if you are
Oh.
if you're leading Deimos behind you, not as much.
Then I mean, if that's the case, then I will absolutely ride Deimos. So
Got a
I will
cloaked
stealth.
ship.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Great. So I will do
As
that.
the rest of you feel a bit disturbed looking at Phoba's figure in front of you, almost like a wraith passing through the woods. The kind of on the verge of emaciation donkey underneath, and he almost looks transparent, like a ghoul long since dead, a shadow underneath the eaves, making its way about its foul business. For a moment, you may even be happy this wraith is on your side. But suddenly, the nature of their exile becomes a bit more clear to you.
Mm.
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 You are able to find a way through the woods, Grin. You're able to find a way forward, but you also become aware of other dangers near you.
Mm.
You notice Hapman trying to find or discern a way forward, losing all sense of direction in this place, choking with life. And as you see her look up at you defeated, you think you know the way forward.
Yeah. Grin is going to look for signs of possibly like traversing forward, like the ability to do that, and finding not a whole lot, will then look down at the root systems of these things and will take out this femur spade and start digging up the plants to sort of clear an underpath, getting it from the root onward.
Perfect. Yeah. Give me an agility roll just to see how good you are at this.
And this will also reduce the difficulty rating by 2.
Perfect.
A 15.
Yeah. You're able to do
Oh,
this.
I have a +1 for my agility score, so 16.
16. Yes, you're able to do this very easily. You notice a deftness as Grin sets about their work, almost as though they are far too good at unearthing that which does not want to be earthed.
Who can say?
A natural with that. I see.
Yeah.
A lot of
6
practice.
feet under, light work for this one.
I know my way around a shovel.
So I noticed.
Hapman is a bit disturbed, but also says, "Far be it from me to judge anyone else."
So then I assume that maybe some of the danger I find out about might be lying under these roots, or even the effect of digging up these plants itself.
Yes, as you're clearing the undergrowth, roll me a d6.
While Grin is doing that, is the forest... Do we hear anything? Do we hear any signs of life, or is it silent?
Ooh.
Now that you're inside what was that sort of impenetrable wall of sheer just like wood and foliage ahead of you, now you can actually hear life teeming all around you.
Mm.
You see the glint of yellow eyes here and there. And then Grin notices with a
four.
sinking feeling with that 4. A nest. You've accidentally dug these up before, Grin.
Uh-oh.
You see 2 eggs, small like granite, hard shells. And you know that a throat-cutting warbler can't be too far away. You also know from your experience digging in the dirt that these large birds of prey can slice through a man's throat as easily as if it were a blade of grass, making quick work of flesh and armor. Their beaks are sometimes harvested and used for cutting weapons. You know it could break through the femur you're holding in your hand very easily.
We must be extra careful and watch the skies. The enemy may come from above.
Enemy.
There is a bird that makes a nest here that could make short work of any one of us.
Then we should leave their nest undisturbed.
Unfortunately, this is the way forward, but be very careful.
Then I will move forward, try my best to avoid touching that nest and those eggs.
Same.
Hmm.
I will keep Invictus away from it.
I was going to say, Hatman almost looks at the eggs like large, about the size of like an ostrich egg, and wonders for a moment. Oh, these are very large. I didn't know they could be that large. Warblers are typically the size of these eggs.
We may be dealing with a giant warbler.
Something of a more dire nature. But couldn't this help fulfill our ration requirement?
This could.
How much would you think that weighs?
Impossible to tell from a look.
Okay, if we scout upward, perhaps we have the advantage here.
You mean this is our hunt? We take these giant warblers and their eggs.
At
That
least
might
as
be enough.
part of it.
They're probably watching us and are making sure that we don't disturb their nest. We could set up a trap, scatter around, and one of us goes to take the eggs. That will be who they will go after. The rest of us can try to take them down as that occurs.
Hapment, it sounds like you could specialize in the traps.
I think I can set something.
And if these are warblers, maybe I can sing to attract it.
Or to calm it down once they attack.
Possibly.
I suppose that leaves me as bait.
How fast are you?
I gotta be fast enough. I'm keeping the armor on, though.
Well, I wish you luck. So maybe we place the eggs in a trap so that they try to come, or the nest. I don't know. What is the plan?
We should set traps around, and that way once I take the egg or eggs, anything that would pass that line would get caught. If they come from above, you are watching and can cover me.
Okay. How does that sound to you, Abmet?
Well, you're very stealthy. I have some length of net. We can set up behind Grin and allow him to pass and then lift up the net behind them to catch whatever is in pursuit out of the sky. If we can clip the warbler's wings, there's some chance that we can fight it.
Raven, do you
Yes.
perchance know a warbler song?
I'll say yes.
Mhm.
The bird call could help to attract it. Maybe even confuse it.
I will. So I'm gonna look for any foliage where I can kind of hide,
Mhm.
and then, when you're ready, I will sing the song of its people.
I'll take position as well with the net.
Since you succeeded on your presence roll, Grin, and you saw the eggs and are sort of hatching a plan, I will give you advantage on the initiative roll.
Oh.
Yeah. Roll me 2d6, and this will determine your group's initiative.
Gotcha.
If you get between a 4 and a 6,
A 5.
which you did with the 5,
Nice.
you get to go first.
Sweet. Oh, I see. So it's them versus us sort of thing.
Nice.
And as for your individual initiatives, you will be going before the enemies. It will merely be your agility plus a d6.
Okay.
A roll of a d6?
Yes. So for you, it'll be a 5, Xander, because
Exactly.
you've got your 4 and then a +1.
Oh boy.
I'm a 3.
I'm a 6.
Oh, nice.
6 plus 0.
Okay. So this means you'll be going first with Hapment. And then you'll be going second, Grin. And then Raven will be going last.
Great.
Plan starts out fairly straightforward. You reach down for the egg, I'm assuming.
Come to Papa.
It's heavy. The shell is harder than any egg you've ever felt, but inside you can feel like a mass of fluid will soon gestate into a large carnivorous bird. As you lift it, your hands slip a little, almost not anticipating it to be as smooth as granite. And then you hear it, almost like a, and then you realize it's not a bird call, but the sound of the wind being cut through in twain as something falls from the air with preternatural speed, not even flying, but rather just falling, beak first. You see the sharp, iridescent black beak striated with gray, falling in a free fall down towards you. But you get to go first.
Oh, God. So am I able to get a grip on one of the eggs? Is it
Yeah.
holdable? Okay.
One easily, you can try for 2.
I think for now we have to trust that the plan is going to work. So Grin is going to kneel down and take out his burlap sack and start to put one egg inside of it. Keeping an eye on the plunging blade, he'll also sort of make a shelter and hunch down. He has his shield on his back, and he, of course, has the armor. Hopefully, it'll get shot out of the sky, and we don't have to worry about it.
Amazing. You're up first, Phoba.
So we are in position, me and Hapmet are in position with a net to try to catch it. So seeing this starting to unfold, I think I just kind of ready my action in a sense where I'm trying to lock step with Hatmet and sync up so that we, ground myself, position myself to be able to use that net against this very large bird. Now that I'm seeing it, I'm sure it's bigger than
It's very large. You know that you could bring it up to stop it from diving over or diving into Grin, but you also know that if for any reason this fails, an arrow might be a better shot. But you do have two options ahead of you. Hatman is looking at you to follow your lead.
Got it. No. Okay, so if I feel like this is doable with the amount of time that the distance between Grin and us, since I'm moving quickly, I'd like to take a shot if I can at the bird to at least wound it and try to make our challenge a little bit easier.
Yeah, amazing. Go ahead and roll your presence for me.
That is a 12.
A 12 is a hit.
Nice.
Now your bow does a d6 damage. Go ahead and roll for your damage.
All right. D6. Oh. Hold on. There we go. 5.
Nice.
Your arrow strikes true just above the beak, right into the eye socket. You see an ochre color fleck the mottled gray and black feathers, and then the creature falls dead, useless beside you, Grin.
I quickly grab the other egg and shove it in my bag.
I was going to say, it is your turn.
Yeah, that's what I'll do.
Yeah. Go ahead and give me a agility test to see how quickly you can kind of do this.
And I get to reduce the DR by 2.
By 2. Mm-hmm.
11?
An 11 is, I don't know.
Oh, sorry, a 12 because I get plus
12.
1 for my agility.
Gotcha. You reach down, you grab the second egg, and you are able, with that 12, to just barely scoop it into your burlap sack. It's difficult. It's slippery at first, and it's very heavy. Now that you're handling it, it feels to be with that hard rock shell about 20 pounds, 25 pounds, but you're not sure how much of that is shell and how much of that is food. As you roll it into your burlap sack, the burlap strains a little bit. You hear one or two threads snap as it tries to hold itself together. Accustomed to holding only really the most barest of bones and little bits and bobs you've what is it called? Scavenged from graves. It's not used to such a massive load or massive hoard, but it holds true. You're not sure you can fit much else in it though. 10 normal sized items, easy. 2 very large items, tests the strength a little bit.
Yep.
Raven.
Yes.
It's your turn.
Well, our bird is dead.
But you hear another one circling.
I knew it.
The mate.
I start warbling, trying to distract and confuse the mate that I hear.
You can sing their dead spouse's song.
Wow.
I mean,
Yes, our sacrilegious songbird. Yes, roll your presence to see, and this will be against its morale.
Okay, and that's a D20.
Yeah.
Oh, I did not need 2 D20s. Sorry.
Actually,
roll.
No.
Oh, I see that.
Nope, no one saw that.
Is that a fumble?
That was a big old fumble.
Mm-hmm. As you sing this song, the creature, seeing that its mate is dead, but its voice lives on with that fumble, becomes confused, almost tormented, unsure of what is happening to it. Roll 2d6.
Am I adding anything?
No.
5.
5. Yeah. The creature reels up and flies away, kind of stopping short its circle and dive, and instead choosing to leave these supernatural magics beyond its understanding, beyond its intellect. The male of the pair, you see like a dark shadow barely above this firmament of trees above you, and then it like turns into like a smear of ink across the midday sky and disappears. You are left with the carcass of one of the creatures, as well as with 2 eggs.
Is there room to strap the carcass of this bird to our pack friend?
Yes.
I'd also like to put these eggs on there if
Yes,
possible.
of course. Deimos, your time for your efforts has come. Hapment, is there a way for you to, as a hunter, the most experienced of us, is there a preparation that we must do for the bird so it is kept?
Yes, I can do that. Takes a small, crude hunting knife that's strapped with crude leather lashings around her shin and dresses the bird. You notice the meat is stringy. There's not much that's salvageable. And as she dresses it, she pulls something strange from inside its gullet. Roll me a d10, Luis.
The wishbone.
Ha 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 ha. 8.
8. You see dark green broken glass as she hands half of a vial of it up to you. You piece together that this creature has consumed something that may be harmful for the rest of you.
Oh no, this does not look good.
Why?
Well, it looks like this creature has consumed something that is most likely not edible for us.
Well,
Well-
we aren't eating this meat.
We're not. We just should take note.
So no one eat the bird.
Nobody
Nobody.
eat this bird.
But nobody speak of what the bird may have consumed.
And I boop Invictus. This means you too.
You hear a
We have the eggs. Those are untainted. But this bird, well, we'll just keep it aside. It might still remain useful for us.
It didn't say what
Once-
condition. Oh, sorry.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, go ahead.
It didn't say what condition the meat had to be in.
Mm.
It is edible. Just not by us.
Mm.
As Raven says that, I want to I study Hapmet's reaction.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
Hapman is confused. You're probably the first people that she's traveled with like this in a long time. And her confusion comes less from her appallment at what you're doing and more so from her surprise at your tenacity. And as she finishes dressing the bird and kind of hanging it from Deimos, she remarks, I think it's good that we parted ways with oath.
Oh.
Personally, I think what we do to get by. People of their sort tend to be more black and white about these things.
Mm.
There is a clear wrong and there is a clear right. And for me, well, that line's a little bit smudgy.
Something tells me we haven't seen the last of them yet.
Well,
That
meat
was our
is
great
meat.
argument.
Mm.
My rivalry with Oath began over something so small and mundane it seems far away now.
Hmm.
But maybe it is not so far away for Oath.
I saw them doing something with the bonfire. I reported it. Oath claimed they were just tending to it or throwing offerings into it. But I knew better. I would often hear them remark when they thought no one was listening that town deserved to be engulfed by the shadows. They'd mutter often about heretics and heresy, and how by providing shelter to, well, quite frankly, people like you, she gestures to you, Phoba,
Mm.
that we were harboring heresy.
That is a shame.
So she's not as pious as she would like us to believe, or they.
Oh, I think
More
They are-
righteously so.
too pious.
Blinding.
Although I would appreciate it if you didn't repeat my words beyond the sacredness of our conclave, the situation being as it is.
You won't find me repeating those words.
What words?
Before we change the topic, what sort of things could they do to the bonfire that would affect anything?
I don't know.
Having ill will towards the structure or the city isn't a punishable offense.
The light of
Perhaps-
the bonfire. I remember it being the thing I fled towards as a small child when our city fell. They had heads that were like lanterns, aflame. I was terrified of them. My sister wasn't. She was too busy trying to keep us alive. They killed the horse first, and then we had to continue on foot. The first day in Ungawent, I was terrified of the bonfire. They reminded me of those creatures, heads of twisted metal and flame. Strange how something so innocuous can become something of such terror. But over time, I grew to enjoy the heady smell of that strange, incense-fueled fire. I don't know if it truly keeps the undead or evils away. But I know that as a young girl, it definitely made me feel like it could. I think in many ways that's why I kept stoking the fire at the old watchtower. I think it was the only way to keep the essence of that bonfire alive. I don't know if its comforting nature could be perverted to something less wholesome. But what worries me even more is if I were to ever go out. I don't know what would happen then.
It's never gone out come rain, snow.
No.
And you were afraid that Oath might do something drastic.
Yes. I didn't have anything to confirm my suspicions, though. And Oath, they can be very persuasive.
Do you
I
think...
was just the jealous younger whelp of Jade,
Then
looking to strike out at hunters far better than I.
this history with Oath is very long that you have. And based on our moment, or our brief interaction with Oath, I can confirm that there is something about them that certainly is out to achieve something perhaps nefarious for the town. What I do know about fires, heat, warmth, and the cold, whatever state something is in, it will always invite something and repel something else. If you change it, then you're inviting something new, maybe repelling something different.
I can't tell you their intentions. I think in many ways, I feel like I agree with them.
But
I don't know.
I think I do. I've learned a lot from you already, and I want to pull out the patch with the ashes of the fire that I saw you take the ashes from.
Mm.
And I'm going to dip my finger in it and show the ash on my finger to Hatmet. From what I've observed of you so far, you take great care in keeping your own fires, but not just the flames themselves. The remains and the ashes that you leave behind are of great importance to you, and you kept watch all night. You have been a beacon yourself for those exiles that have tried to find their way, many of them having gotten lost, but you still stayed your course. You still kept that shack as a shelter for us and any who come.
Well, are we not ash ourselves,
Mm.
spent of the bonfire of Ungawent?
We are indeed, and they will continue to spend others as they did with us.
Tell me about yourself, Raven. Why do you
What?
sing like a songbird? I kind of sworn I've heard you sing in the choir. Am I mistaken?
no. So, I'm a bard. That much you may have picked up.
Not any bard. A very special bard. To be one of the sheep? I wonder how you've fallen to our status.
You
Well-
were one of them?
At one point, yes, as I told you, I sang a song for the wrong ears to hear.
Mm.
My melodies and my notes brought displeasure and discordance to the wrong people. I was not always one of the sheep. I was not always a good bard or a special bard. I was one who brought sour notes, discord, and dismay. And I, in my search for glory, fame, just wanting people to like me and not run in fear, I made a deal and paid a very high price. So while the song is sweet, the melody pleasing, I in turn have to live with myself.
It looks like we all have to find the trash within the discards of others, whether it be sour notes or ashes or the trinkets left behind in a grave. We've eked out a living, and we've survived so far.
Well, you know what they do with sheep. Once they're sheared, they have no use until the next spring. Unfortunately, my time to be sheared came with the price of being exiled, and no one cared how sweetly I sang or how well my voice could please the masses. I was of no more use, and thus found myself with you lot.
We must disgust you.
No. Why would you disgust me?
Because we're scum from the gutters.
Am I not with you now? What does that make me? Once you're exiled, you are no better than the filth from the horses that pull carts. I am not above anyone. If I thought that to be true, I'd be still there screaming to the rooftops that I was innocent, that I was framed, but the only thing they wanted to hear from me was certain melodies, and I didn't sing for the right person. A cage bird can sing as sweetly as the dawn, as the mist, but it's still a cage. So, here I am with all of you.
No
Were
cage
you-
in sight.
Were you actually framed?
Oh, yes. While I sang to the pleasure of one, another used that as cover to do certain deeds, and I was an easy scapegoat. And instead of hearing my innocence, they merely saw me as a tool, and tools can be discarded once they're used. And as Raven's speaking, the melody is a little bit more discordant as she's getting upset telling her story.
You've fallen far from the corvid choir, not unlike the warbler. And she takes the warbler and kind of like affixes it to Demos.
Well, hopefully none of you will shoot me in the eye.
I don't intend to. There's no reason to do that.
And thank you for having our back. And at this point, Grin is overweighing the skeleton of the bird with the femur, seeing which one is like sturdier. Like, oh, these are hollow bird bones.
Yeah. You could maybe make an instrument out of them, but as a tool, they would be rather brittle.
Is there any way to recover the arrow?
Oh,
You
good
may
call.
try. You may try, yes. Give me an... You don't have sleight of hand in this wonderful game. One of the many indie games on roll, but you can use your agility, I think would be the right one for this.
Okay. 12.
It's enough.
All right.
You are able to salvage your arrow. The shot was clean through the eye. The tip of it is a little blunted, but the shaft is intact.
Cool. If there is anything, I'm really fascinated with the beak of this bird. That's so
yeah.
sharp.
Yeah.
And I would look at Hatmet. I believe this is this creature's weapon, and I think that we could certainly use it. I'm sure I have like some sort of a knife, like just a regular knife.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna sever the head,
Mm-hmm.
and so now I have I have the beak and the head of the bird, but I don't know how to. I am not a hunter. Do you have a way to extract the beak? Perhaps we can use it to defend ourselves.
Yes, I'd bring along the head. Next time we make camp, I can show you how to fashion it into arrowheads.
I will be looking forward to that. So I'll stash that separately from the rest of the bird that we've already kind of packed up.
Mm-hmm.
We still need more. Our hunt is not done.
No, far from it.
Just as a note, I'll stash some hollow bones as well for craft time.
Mm-hmm. Hapment, having successfully completed one part, or at least obtained one animal and 2 eggs, and finishes making sure everything is affixed to Demos properly, continues on through the underbrush, her armor gently creaking and clanking as she finds her way under different boughs and branches from the route cleared by Grin. She descends further into the lap of mulchy goodness, further into the lap of the forest, where the thickest undergrowth and lichen begins to softly kind of muffle all of your footfalls. It grows dark around you before you could see the birds in the sky, but now the boughs of the trees are so overgrown, so heavily laden with moss and lichen, it forms almost a curtain above you. You feel almost like you're underground. Little beams of sunlight come filtering down to you now, struggling to make their way to the forest floor. And then you hear something in the woods to your left. You hear the crunch of Hatman's boots as she stops short, hearing the same sound you have. A strange, sucking, gurgling sound. It seems to punctuate the air at almost regular intervals, occasionally falling silent and then kicking up again. The air smells almost putrid. And some of the trees ahead of you look almost as though they're rotted through. You can almost see forward a little bit into the clearing as the growth thins out. Hatman turns and looks back at you, Grin, and says, I think you've led us into Graven Task.
We must be careful. The scratching under the ground.
No, it's too quiet.
Can we avoid this place? Should we go around? Or I'm curious about the clearing. So in mid-sentence, what's striking me, and correct me if I'm wrong, is that we've been in this dense foliage, and now there's a clearing which is indicating to us that we're in this town.
Well,
Yes, what was Graven Task was described to you as a cemetery.
cemetery.
Cemetery, yes, right.
The scratching you mentioned, do you still hear it?
I'll try to
No.
listen too.
I don't. But I hear something else.
Grin, do you hear something?
I'd like to put my years of experience to use and sort of put an ear down to the ground to get a better listen. Also, you said cemetery, but is there evidence of like gravestones or memorials of some kind? Like partitioned per person?
Yeah, give me a presence roll.
Great. So I get to decrease the difficulty rating by 2 on this one,
Yes.
but I don't have anything to add. Oh no, a natural 1.
Oh no, can I help at all?
You can expend an omen to
That's
give him a
right.
reroll.
I will expend one omen for you.
Oh, nice. So I re-roll. This time, it's a 9.
Hey, better than a 1.
Yeah.
You step forward to look into this clearing ahead of you. As you do, you are about to step on what is almost unsure footing, but Raven reaches out and grabs the back of your armor, stopping you. Raven, you're not sure what caused you to reach out, but you feel one of the runes in your pocket. Or you don't have pockets canonically.
Oh, I mean, I have,
Yeah,
I have
yeah.
something.
Satchel.
Crack as its power is expended. As you
Grin.
look
For the
down,
assist.
Grin, you notice your foot was about to sink into something wet. And now you realize where the sucking sound is coming from. Tar pools.
Tar. So much tar. This would have dissolved anything in the grave. Or maybe
Can
it's
we-
what's left.
How far out do these tar pools go?
As you stand still within the, I guess I should say, the shadows kind of hiding you of the boughs. Sorry, my cat is making sounds too. if you hear a ghastly, that's my cat.
It's super scary.
Yeah.
Ah,
The shadows of the trees obfuscate you. And you can see tar kind of leaking out in between the trees further into the clearing ahead, but you're not sure how far they go. They kind of just seem to seep into this edge of the woods about 15 feet.
Can we backtrack and go around?
Yes, you can backtrack and go around, and you can also kind of step around them to get a closer look at what's ahead too. It's not one large pool, but rather rivulets of tar that are kind of curling towards you. They seem to be hot. In fact, you notice this, Grin, as your boot is almost like kind of adhered into one and just barely saved by Raven. You notice that that's the strange sucking sound, is that this tar isn't cold and cooled, but rather is boiling hot.
Bubbling. You do not want to go swimming here.
oh, No.
Mm.
yeah.
And you said
What?
it was too... Oh, go ahead.
I'm just asking the group what could be causing this.
Is it natural?
It could be. It's also hindering our way forward, but if we step carefully, we should be able to make it.
But one wrong move. Out of character question, can... I forgot our donkey's name.
Deimos.
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 Could Deimos carry us?
Ooh.
One by one, but probably
see.
not all together.
Is this something that Deimos will be harmed by if he steps on? Or is there something about his hooves or something that protects him?
You could reinforce his hooves. You know they're sturdier than your feet. But eventually they too, the shoes would melt, and then you may have problems.
I don't know if I would. Deimos is carrying everything. I was thinking maybe I leave him on this side, covered. Maybe. Looking around the woods, unsure for a moment of what to do, Deimos will kind of lean in and sort of pet him. Can you carry us across? Do you want to stay here and on your own and wait for us? What say you?
Deimos's long lashes brush gently against your cheek. You notice the flared nostrils and a fear of being left in the Sarkash forest, and rather an eagerness to move forward.
That's what I thought. Well, if any of us are agile enough to move alone, you should do so. Anyone who's apprehensive, Deimos can take turns carrying us across. I'll start.
I'm going to skirt around.
Mm-hmm.
I have a bad feeling about this.
Yeah.
One moment, Phoba, before you leave. And Grin will take off his armor and put it onto Deimos.
I see.
I receive an agility penalty for wearing heavy armor.
Ah, yeah. I understand. Oh.
This will make me quicker and able to dodge.
Yeah, you begin shearing little bits of metal off of this hastily crafted armor, undoing little rivets and things like that, fashioning crude but potentially effective protection for Deimos' feet.
Thank you. I think with that, it'll give me enough confidence to carefully move forward, but I'm going to let Grin take point on that.
Yeah, well, now that Grin is not inhibited by that heavy armor, he sort of takes another glance down at this pathway and will start to do agility, I guess.
Yeah.
So I get to reduce the difficulty of this by 2, and I get a +1.
Mm-hmm. We've got one of the custom characters from the Mörk basic set that you can customize here on the Roll platform. You can actually use any game system you want. The Roll platform has so many to choose from. And you can even import your characters from D&D Beyond if D&D is your jam with a very simple couple of clicks of the button. You just have to enter in the code. But yeah, we have the ability, under your Gutterborn Scum trait, all presence and agility. I will say you're very attractive, Gutterborn Scum. if I
For
really
Gutterborn Scum, yeah.
Yeah, looking at the profile pic, very hot Gutterborn Scum.
Yeah, I tried to give it a little more flavor. But there's missing teeth.
Yeah, still hot.
Still hot. In fact, it adds to it somehow.
Yeah.
So I did roll a 2 on the die for a total of 3. I would like to spend one of my omens, and another ability that I have is Escaping Fate. Every time you use an omen, there's a 50% chance that it is not spent.
Ooh.
Yes.
So I'm going to roll a d2, and I'll say what? 1 is spent, 2 is not spent?
Yes.
Okay. Spent.
It is spent. Mm-hmm.
No.
So I use that, and then I get to roll the agility again. Clear, and roll. Way better. A 17 total.
Way better. 17 total. Perfect. Nice. Yeah. As you are carefully trying to move out into the clearing ahead, carefully picking your way through these tar pools, your foot almost slips on a mossy patch that gives way to soft mud underneath. But then you hear a crack as the rune in your pocket shatters. And almost as though by a twist of fate, the mud holds right at the edge of where a thick rivulet of tar is streaming past. You come into the clearing, and now you see it. A seemingly endless pool of tar that spreads ahead of you, all the way up to what looks to be an old, crumbling chapel.
Oh.
You see barrels of this tar, holy sigils and runes and pieces of prayer scrolls affixed to them, knocked over unceremoniously and emptied here.
Does it remind me of what we saw Oath had on their like armor?
It's very similar.
Very similar.
Mm.
From this side of the tar pits, Grin will help to guide Deimos.
I will move forward.
You begin to lead Deimos across. With that 17, you're able to find places for Deimos to put their feet safely. He's larger than you,
Yes.
given that he has 4 legs instead of 2, 4 feet instead of 2 that he has to safely place. But you rolled high enough that you're able to find sure footing, and you know where the places are weak and where the earth will give way. You notice now as you're traversing this, in fact, you maybe noticed it first, Phoba. In the earth, the soft sucking earth with this pool of tar on top remains.
I will point that out to anyone that's nearby.
I'm going to take a look.
Yeah. Hatmet kneels down with you, Grin. And looking says, "It looks as though someone tried to purify the site."
And it looks like they failed, right?
This tar is
These-
the reaction.
No. I've heard some old barbaric rituals involve dipping evildoers in tar to seal their evil within them. I think this is an old gravesite. Someone tried to seal the evil within with tar. Maybe that's why there's no scratching. Maybe it worked.
Oh, is there any way to, in this world, determine if something like that worked? Any kind of...
Yes.
I want to know if I can.
Yeah.
Raven was kind of quietly picking her way behind Phoba Deimos.
I will help you in that last moment. Since Grin was there to help me forward, looking back behind me, I'll help anyone behind me forward as well. Kind of extend that. But this is a very interesting place for me. And I want to... if somebody enacted some kind of ritual here, then there's going to be a specific place for that. I want to look for like a ritual site.
You begin to look around for a ritual site. And as you do, you sense movement not far from where you are.
I will
Thick,
bring that to
black.
everyone's attention.
This thick, black, viscous, steaming substance ventures all, or I guess just to say, gushes kind of all around you. You're standing on, seems to be a small patch of firm ground. At one point, it may have been a small hill in this graveyard, small and quaint, in front of this old crumbling chapel. And as you point out the sound to the left of you, and you see something emerge from the shadow of the chapel, that'll be where we call this episode to a close.
Whoa, cliffhanger.
Oh,
I love cliffhangers. We'll see you next time on
Yeah.
Mörk Bronze.
More bronze.
Mörk. Bronze, that's what it was. Well, I'm reading Morkborg right in front of me, and I was like, oh, wait.
Mork Borons.
Mörk Borongs.